A two-page short story he's asked me to read for him.
It's not old school, sorry.
That's okay. I'm a new age old schooler.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, I'll just give a brief intro before you start reading. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you very much, Deborah. Okay, you're going to need to adjust the microphone. Okay. Okay, 2772. Okay. So, the following, this is more of a journalistic text that I wrote while I was in my stay in Shanghai, which was until December of 2015. And we're in the process, I was writing the novel I'm currently writing now. I went to a literary festival, a special kind of literary festival, in order to research on the novel I'm currently working on right now that's set in Shanghai. Keep in mind, keep an open mind. I hope this will not offend any of you in the audience, but in case if it does, you've been warned. And keep in mind, China is still very much a communist country, so the idea of having an erotic literary festival is still quite subversive. Thank you. Yeah.
2772.
But.
You press the buy button at the bottom. And you go 2772.
Okay. Huh?
Right?
Oh, two?
Yeah.
772. Okay, voila. Here you go. Thank you. So,
It's called A Night to Remember.
okay.
Hold on. Sorry, hold on, guys.
Oh, we got a problem here.
Okay.
A Night to Remember. It was a dusty evening, and an unsettling autumn sky loomed over the metropolis, a lurid jumble of lights, glass, and concrete. For over an hour, I mused through the narrow streets in search of the shores, otherwise known as the Bund. Though this place was not unfamiliar to me, I must sadly admit that my special quest, consuming all thoughts, I had forgotten how to get there. For years, a curious question lurked on the back of my mind, without me ever really dwelling on it seriously. For greater and more practical considerations often took over. But recently, this mildly entertaining itch turned into a full-on burning rash after a mysterious advert appeared on my WeChat account. Shanghai Erotic Fiction Competition. These four promising words had awoken my latent curiosity, bringing me back to the age-old question, why has literature produced so few good sex scenes? Since the heyday of stone cutters carving hieroglyphs into the narrative sequence of our current digital age, we would be at a loss to remember more than a dozen compelling passages of carnality, this including the Kama Sutra, the Song of Songs, and the often tedious Marquis de Sade. Before I elaborate any further about this particular mission of mine, I must confess that I myself am a writer, a novelist to be exact, struggling with my craftsmanship while writing an erotically charged manuscript set in this lurid jungle we call Shanghai. Here, in the midst of the most unusual competition, I thought that I might reach some sort of light in the dark of night of my creative soul, hear others whisper the words of a sexy story without all the mechanisms of the craft lurking in the background and falling upon the ears of the audience like magic, titillating them effortlessly, somehow unlocking a mystery that even few giants of literature ever successfully mastered. Naive? Probably. Exhausted and frustrated by all the walking, I reached the shores, where now, under the darkened sky, the Pearl Tower, with all its splendor, seemed to rise like a luminous phallic symbol. Helped set the mood right. Inside the inn on the Bund, I patiently sat by the window while waiting for the performers to freshen up. For those unfamiliar with the perks of the city, the inn is a restaurant with a sleek Art Deco design, reminiscent of the film noir and of the glorious days of Shanghai's colonialist debaucheries. I glanced towards the window, watched the hypnotic projections of holograms upon the buildings in front of a spectacle of the glorious days of Shanghai's a spectacle of golden vessels circulating on the dark green sea, while jolly herds of ants swirled on the city's docks. Seemingly out of nowhere, a sexy Chinese lady in a red dress came to take my order. After all that glaring at the sea and at the audience, the time had come for the performers and panel members to set themselves in line. The reading officially began. The contestants were less than I expected, only 5 in total, and texts were limited to 1,000 words maximum. This should be a breeze, I thought. The genre of erotica lies on a paradoxical premise, where transgressions and strictly codified gender roles walk hand in hand. For our sex scripts must be confined within our individual and social taboos, whatever they may be at any particular time and place. In many ways, erotica is probably the least subversive genre of all, I gathered. Nevertheless, I was more than eager to be proven wrong. As the readers appeared on the stage delivering their horny creations with a considerable dosage of humor and enthusiasm, sex scenes were heterosexual between 2 people without any significant age or class differences, where the miscegenation, a horrid disease invented by the 19th century eugenists to prevent black men from marrying and copulating with white women and to keep their relationships off the American screens until 1961, was limited to the foreign man, generally Caucasian, and petite Chinese girl duo. A Merchant Ivory production could not have done better. Without going into much detail, my current novel breaks all these taboos within the first few chapters. Almost inevitably came the list of cliches that even a chaste nun would be familiar with, enough with, to turn into parody. The Viking hunk at Buxton Park, the superwoman sex appeal, the vixen alter ego, the bathroom sexual climate, don't people ever knock on doors? The Asian girl, Western man sexual intercourse, super match made in heaven, her skin that tasted like melted ice cream, that got me off gelato for a while at least. The sweet smell of laundromat on her uniform. What would Confucius think? Beats me. Curves in accordance to regulations, sex in the editing booth, cleavage like full moons and demi-moons, the extraterrestrial Adidas totem, the thunder bulletin to the adapter as a metaphor for anal sex. She took what she wanted. And finally, as a pièce de résistance, a Chinese girl. So racy for me. A Chinese girl sucking suggestively on a chopstick. At this point, I must admit that I got most of my catharsis from looking back at the raptured audience, counting the red faces and bulging pants. Every now and then, a quirky expression such as the golden weasel to describe the erected genital would provide some needed comic relief. I would then share a hearty laughter with the crowd and feel less lonely. In the end, the judges came to a decision, and Michael Robinson, a self-professed clone of Leonard from The Big Bang Theory, won the first prize, thus becoming the sexiest writer in Shanghai. Soon after, the stage was cleared and people fell back into their cleats like a subatomic particles gravitating towards an indefinite center. After congratulating a few contestants, I returned into the crisp and humid November air, surprisingly erotic in its own way, with more questions than answers in my mind. As I strolled for a while on the docks of the Bund, I pondered on an anonymous quote. Everyone has 2 erotic biographies. The one we tell, that constitutes our successes, and the one we don't tell, which is about missed opportunities. Usually the second is more interesting than the first. I must say, whoever it was, that you were right. Thanks, that was a pleasure to read.